Black a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush straight. This was for the record, but going down history in the making. First it was Elijah Muhammad, now we the honorable black prophet. We been in our bag and out of our feelings, securing all the profit. And going outside, don't know what you hearing, so miss me with that gossip. Staying sucker free from mob shit, let someone get out of pocket. Whoa, we come from different walks of life, but relate to the same cause. Fighting to live a fight, laid up behind them hospital walls. They focus like the face, but like syringes sharper than a knife. Take a cookie from the jar, grind it, wrap it in the raw. Bobby T would stay loyal, no damn miss a prop. Shots to my producer.
We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18. We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18. We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18. We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18.
Ever since we got in the cabin, a lot of things started happening. We got up for breakfast, laughing. We had some cold grits and they was nasty.
After a long day of sweating in the heat, we cooled down with a real sweet treat.
Okay, let's talk about Delon. Oh, girl, he's so fine. Shamari, riding on a golf cart.
And then she fell off.
We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18. 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 Justina, Zika. Then we got Alexis. She dances the bestest. And then we got Courtney. All the boys say she's lovely. And then we got Haley. She was running like she's crazy. Then we got Mia. Ain't nobody sweeter.
Then we got Aaron, wonder about the world. Looking at me, talking about girl. Then we got Alicia, can't tell the time. Talking about the hand is on the knife.
We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18. 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 We the Serene Queens of Cabin 18.
Guys. Good evening, guys. How are you guys doing? I hope y'all are doing awesome. It's beautiful outside. I hope y'all got some vitamin D. Normally, we will be outside soaking up all this vitamin D because it's camp week. Camp New Hope, for those of you who don't know, Camp New Hope is the camp where me and Jennifer met as kids.
So very long ago.
It was the beginning of a beautiful friendship that started, like you said, so long ago. And we found out that Camp New Hope was coined Camp New Hope in 1993. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a newspaper article on the camp, a camp that is specifically for children with sickle cell disease. This is our newspaper article. We were 10 and 11 years old in arts and craft, ironically.
Ironically, because we still love to do arts and crafts.
Right. And guess who does creative arts at Camp New Hope. So, yeah, that was the beginning of it all. And I remember so many times going back to camp, and I think for a lot of us that was our place of normalness, in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. We just wanted to take today to dedicate this show to camp and how it made us feel growing up and how we hope it makes kids feel today growing up.
Right. Um, and if you're watching, please go ahead and call in with your favorite camp memories. The number is 770-376-7242.
Give it to us again slower.
770-376-7242. We would love to hear you guys camp memories, your favorite memories, the sad memories, just whatever it is. We could really be here all night talking about camp. But what was one of your favorite things about camp in the 90s specifically? Because there's a then and a now.
Since we're talking about favorite memories, I know everyone has had, their share of different things that they love about camp. And I want us to get into the things that we love about camp now and the things that we loved about camp growing up, and maybe the differences that we've seen, being as an adult, now going back and, what it was when we were growing up and the difference that we see. Because I know for me, going to camp was the first time that I saw other people who were just like me. And so you said normalcy. And I know, like, people are like, well, we are normal. But sometimes, like, when you're the only person in your school or the only person in your family who has sickle cell, you kind of feel like the odd man out. So I know, like, camp for me, the biggest thing was I didn't feel like the odd man out for once. It was just like everyone was kind of on my same level, running around and playing and all that kind of stuff. If I needed to take a break, chances are everybody else needed to take a break too. So I didn't feel like I had to push myself beyond my threshold. So that was like the biggest takeaway for me being at camp. And even as an adult, going back as a counselor, that's still the biggest takeaway. The other counselors are still dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. And it's such a familial bond there. And we're always looking out for each other. That's always been my biggest takeaway from camp. What's been yours?
Besides because it wasn't necessarily a vacation because we were busy 24/7, but it took me away from everything that was going on at home or at school. And when I got to camp, it was nothing but camp. That's all that we had. We only had to worry about what outfit we were going to wear to horseback riding the next morning, and then we didn't have cell phones then. So it wasn't like we had the distraction or the need to be so connected back then. We were just really out of touch. I remember my mom getting mad because I would go to camp and just forget to call her. And she'd be like, and then we had to use payphones. So it was those moments where I just be like, I forget to call because I'm too caught up in camp stuff. So even like you said, even as an adult, even though we're like constantly working with the kids from sun up to way past sundown, it's still like the focus is just camp. We don't know nothing about what's going on outside of camp. So
I never once called my mom at camp. Like, as a kid, I never called home at all. It never even occurred to me now that you said that. Like, we could have called home. I didn't even know.
Because my mom harassed me every year to call her when I got there.
That's hilarious. I didn't even know that was an option.
After a while, I found that payphone when I first got there, and that was it. I'll see you when I get back.
That's so funny. I remember, the first, like the very first time I went, and this was back when they allowed the counselors to meet the kids like beforehand. So I thought that was like the best thing ever because my first counselor, she was an adult. I think she may have been a student at Spelman or something like that, but she had sickle cell.
Okay.
And I just was like, oh my gosh, like she goes to college, and she has sickle cell. Like it was just the best thing in the world to see somebody who wasn't old. She
Yeah.
was cool to me, and she would come and get me because I was nervous because I had never been, away from my family before. But she would come and get me like 2-3 weeks or whatever before camp, and we would just hang out. She would just take me places, and it just created such a bond. So when I got to camp and I didn't know anybody, and I'm not very, you know, I am. I'm not very social. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like meet new people. Like I was really nervous about all that because that's just not my thing. I'm really to myself. But it just made everything so easy, like the whole transition of, going there for the first time, at least knowing the person who was gonna be my counselor and knowing that I had a friend in her. Oh look, that's me.
This is early days.
Yeah. Oh
But
Lord, what did my mama do to me?
but yeah, I love those moments too, bonding with the counselors beforehand. And most of the time I had the same counselor every year. So it was easier for me, and we had the same group of girls most of the time every year. So it was easy, I knew which friends I was hanging with this year or which cabin I'd hang with, especially, how the guys the same age would hang out with the girls the same
Right.
age. So that's when we'd all catch up and, hang out, go to the block parties. So yeah, it was just fun to be able to go back to those moments with them and going through these pictures. Oh my God. Just brought so many memories. Oh my goodness. I didn't know where to stop on just because I had to cut it off. Like, okay, I can't get caught up in the picture. I got a purpose here.
And you
But
have all the pictures too, so
I do. I have so many that weren't even included in the videos that will be shown today. So I'm gonna slowly start to make a digital album because it's just is so many, and I know people would love to see these pictures and have these pictures. So, but that's gonna be a process. I have so many albums. It's just crazy. Um, so it just takes me back to I definitely want to recognize the people who made us fall in love with Camp, Gerald Mansfield, Jackie George, Linda
Philip
Gay,
Oliver.
Phil Oliver, Harold. Oh, I can't think of his name, but Harold was the camp photographer. And listen, you couldn't tell Harold nothing. He had that camera all kind of ways. He'd be all in the grass shooting. We'd be tired because it'd be so hot outside. But once he got that good picture, it's a wrap. Y'all can go to dinner now. So just recognizing those people who made us fall in love with camp and really pushed I'm gonna say us to do what we do now, basically.
Yeah, and I think camp also allowed us to push ourselves past our comfort zones. And I think it's so important for kids to have that experience. So I'm so happy that it's something that has continued over the years and that parents continue to send their children, because I've noticed that like maybe um I don't know how I want to say this, but parents who have kids growing up with sickle cell now sometimes are a little bit more overprotective of their kids, and I love the fact that they get to come to camp, and Camp New Hope is special because the counselors have sickle cell too, and that's something that's irreplaceable. So no matter what other camp comes around, there's nothing like Camp New Hope for that very reason,
Right.
and that the kids get to see, like, you know, like the whatever year that was when I was a counselor and I was limping the entire week. But they saw me push through it all week long. And one of my girls pulled me to the side and she was like, "You're so strong. Like I really admire you." And I just like wanted to cry about that because, you know, at the beginning of the week she was one of my girls that didn't want to push herself to do anything because she was afraid. And then by the middle of the week, she was pushing herself to do things that she would have never done before because she saw me push myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes a huge difference when the counselors have sickle cell too. And I love the fact that there's always floaters available because the foundation knows our bodies and knows that we need to sit down too, we need to rest too. So they have that cushion, those floaters there for us in those moments. And they've always done that. They've always looked for extra volunteers to come and help offset because it's so strenuous on us. And this is funny, but not funny that my doctor usually has 3 to 4 admissions and he's mad. Yet we still go back every year.
Yeah, my doctor was like, "You're not going back to camp." I'm like, it
Right.
depends.
We are worn out. It's always been that way. You need a week to get yourself back together for real after camp. But you fall in love with the kids. You just have to go back. Like you might be fed up. I ain't doing that. I'm so tired. My feet hurt. My legs hurt. You got a whole year to recover, boo. I'll
You
see y'all
really just
next
see
year.
the transformation of the kids, and that's just so priceless because they come in, especially like the kids who have not been there before, and they come in and they're quiet and they're shy and they want to call their mom and they're crying, like, and but by the middle of the week you see them coming out of their shell, and then by the end of the week they're crying because they don't want to go home. Like, it's like, well, you were crying when you got here because you didn't want to be here, but now you don't want to leave.
Right. And now
So
they're asking for longer. So when we were going to camp, it was only like 5 days. Now it's a whole 7 days. And I think last year they was like, we want more. And the counselor was like, it's around. This is enough. We good.
it's a lot of walking.
Yes. Yes. So it's, I think we probably wanted it to be longer as kids too. The counselors probably felt the same.
What
Like,
would be nice though, I think, is to get to a point where we don't have to share the camp with others.
yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna always be by yourself in this world, so you do have to learn how to get along with other people. But I don't know, maybe if it was different, like you were there with another camp, with children with a chronic disease or something like that, maybe that may make a difference. But to be there with a camp with kids who have, no chronic illness sometimes is a little bit daunting and can be a little bit of a challenge, I guess.
Right. And they don't understand. Um so at times those other camps can be ignorant to
Right.
what's going on with us and make ugly comments. And that's unfortunate that we have to deal with that at a place where we shouldn't have to.
Right.
So that I can say it's been many, many, many years since we've had the camp by ourselves. We used to be 200 deep in that thing. So now we don't have as many numbers. So I guess that's where the sharing of the camp comes in. But it'd be nice to get back to that 200 number and to be able to take over the entire camp and not have to worry about those other situations. We can handle the situations amongst ourselves, but it's a little harder to control and manage certain situations when there's a completely different camp or a completely different organization there. So I agree with you on that one. I completely agree. So let's take a look at this next video. So this is kind of coming from 95-ish up until last year, actually. So take a look at this. It's some then and now pictures. Oh yeah. Like I said, that took us from 95 till last year. And there have been so many in that time that I've known personally in the past. And I had written their names on the bottom and forgot that the ticker was gonna block the ones that had passed. But I figured people wanted to see like the then and now and how people are doing now, how well they're doing. That's why I had some of the graduation pictures in there. Um, and just see that some of the kids or some of the people are still around and doing well. So, but it was just fun to go through all those pictures and reminisce on so much. Like, I know one of our favorite things was the talent show.
Yeah.
The talent show. Tell us about the talent show, Jennifer.
The talent show. Okay, what then versus now? Um, well, like kids used to come with their instruments, their whole routine together. Like it was a whole production. I remember we had a girl, and I will never forget this. She she was like one of my favorite campers, but she had like almost zero musical talent. But she got up there and she sang like an SWV song that she kind of remixed. It was terrible, but like it was just the fact that she was just so confident in her presentation of it. I just fell in love with it. But yeah, like kids would come with their whole routine, their stuff from ballet class, their instruments. The parents would come and bring their children's instruments. It used to be like a really big production.
Right.
And that was always my favorite part because it was like, okay, I might just come out of my shell. I might just sing a song this time. I might, like going back and forth all week long as to whether or not I was going to perform because I'm just not the person who likes to be the center of attention. But then getting up there and then having everybody give me like that kind of love, and I'm like, I did good. Like, that was like always my favorite part. I remember singing an Escape song one year, an SWV song another year. It was like, I got it. I'm gonna do it. I don't care if anybody thinks. Like they done built me up. I'm gonna do it now.
Your cabin was your biggest hype man right there. They had nobody else. Your cabin was gonna root for you and make sure you had some claps and everything else from them. I remember Keith Preacher Brown was always the MC, and they would also have different. I remember them having like a African dance group come in and show us a routine. So I remember doing that one year, but Keith Preacher Brown used to have us on fire at the talent show. Just period. He'd sing his good job song. That's the one we still sing when we go to the escape retreat. But Keith Preacher Brown like really was part of the reason the talent show was just so live. He brought that energy and we were all for it, like, yes, singing along and just everything. So I just love that energy that Keith Preacher Brown would bring. And I remember, like you said, my kids, they would come with their dance routine ready. Like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're dancing to.
Right.
They really came to camp to practice, but they already knew. They already knew what it was. They signed up that first day because they knew what song it was. They knew the routine. They had half, if not the whole routine, down pat. So they knew he was gonna be in their groups.
Right. Right.
They knew what the uniform was gonna be. Okay, we're gonna wear the camp.
Blue shorts, white shirt, like.
When I tell you they were ready, we were ready. Ready. So, and I like that even now they have a hip hop choreographer come in and teach the kids to dance. I love that. And someone tried to come last year and just really do the talent show up. And I thought it was cool because I remember that I saw where they were going with it. But the campers and the counselors was just like, this ain't
What?
work. They weren't used to it. They weren't used to it. So it was just it did not go well. But they had streamers, red carpet, and everything. Y'all don't like the red carpet? Like we had balloons, but it is what it is. It was still fun to me. I appreciate the effort. I also want to point out in OG Triple OG from camp, Eric Brown. Eric and Derek used to come to camp every year, and after a while, Eric just he's still coming as of last year. He's still coming to camp, so he must be recognized for all of his hard work over the years. He's literally seen and had kids from when they first started at camp at 6, 7 years old up to 17, and now been counselors for 10 years. So he's seen it all.
So what do you think is like the biggest difference from when we were campers to now?
The biggest difference as of in last year is the only reference I can go off of. But the biggest difference is the camp activities. So now we're at Rock Eagle and it's more um it's more nature stuff. It's more the study of birds, the study of reptiles, the study of whatever, and they try to balance it out with our type of with our activities, creative arts, games, whatever, or sickle cell 101, whatever we have. The producer comes in, and I really think that maybe the kids aren't as interested in their activities, but at the other facility that we were at, there was a lot more range of activities, from horseback riding. Well, they have horseback riding now. It's not as accessible, but it's there. They just had way more choices for activities than where we are now. So, in the counselors, I have experience being a counselor at our old location and now. So, the past couple of years, we've been going to this restaurant in the area. It's not highly seasoned, and
About the restaurant.
say what?
Oh, they did the best they could do.
You're right, and you know there, but like old school back in the day, we would probably order a whole bunch of pizzas. We'd be in like the counselor cabin off in the cut before the kids got there. We have fried fish. It'd be a game table in there, playing pool, just cutting up the night before the kids got there. Fish fry from some of the fish in the back or wherever. It was just a party before the kids showed up.
Like, don't tell the kids; they'll be trying to come.
Right. Right. Well, they can't come to the campsite before they supposed to, so that's why they ship them on the bus, and you can't bring them to the location. So yeah, I used to love doing that and fellowshipping with the other counselors, because even as a counselor, it's still that same thing. Like, what's up, bro? What's up, sis?
Yeah.
How you been? So it's still like that camaraderie, even with the counselors. And a lot of us have been campers that came up as counselors, so we go back to those early camp days.
I think the camaraderie between counselors is like it's a blessing almost.
Yeah.
Just we're always talking about just being around other people who who are like you.
Hmm.
It's really nothing like that. That's kind of like an irreplaceable type feeling. And that love is it's just there.
It is. It is. And it's always been nice to stay in contact with my girls that were campers. Some of them I still talk to today. I'd say at least half of them I still talk to, and we check in with each other. Hey, how you been? How's life going? As adults, we get caught up in life quick, and sometimes it's just nice to check in with your friends. So I check in with them when they cross my mind, just to make sure they're doing okay, because they cross my mind more often than I actually reach out. So
Yeah. I mean, I think overall people just have to get better about that part. I was talking to a friend last night, and she was like, I think about you and I want to call you, but then I think it's too late or it's too early or whatever. But especially within our community, I think it's really important that when we think of each other, then, we make a point of reaching out and checking on each other, because things can just change um so quickly, like overnight, and you like, dang, I was just thinking about her yesterday, or I was just thinking about her, we were just talking or whatever. So I just think that that's something that we all probably need to get better at doing, and I know we think about it more during this week when camp is going on. We think about each other more and we love on each other more, but that's something that we need to carry on, throughout the year, not just in this week when we're together with each other and loving on each other.
yeah, and now it's a bit easier for us because we didn't have to get each other phone number or address when we were, I mean, like we did when we were younger.
Yeah.
We didn't have to, okay, I'm gonna call you when I get home. Kind of wait till my mama get off the phone, check on or write them a letter or whatever. Now it's just like, how you doing?
Right.
So it's really no excuses, but I get that we just get caught up in what we're
Just
doing
our
and
own day to day.
yeah, yeah. One of the other things I loved about the old camp is I remember one year they gave us disposable cameras. And that's probably what started my collection of photos. Plus my mom took pictures all the time. So they gave us a disposable camera. So I knew I had to have one every year. So that's probably what started my picture collection. And they also would have coolers in every single cabin. I remember bringing my own cooler. My kids had water, they had Gatorade, they had snacks, they had everything. They knew once we ran out, that was it. That's good. All you got is water. But we came loaded for our baby every year, thankfully.
Yeah, you kind of need to do that because you're expending a lot of calories walking and the heat and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, you got to be prepared for everything.
Right, right. So they can put like a little granola bar in their backpack or whatever, their little fanny pouch when they get hungry out there. While I don't know if depending on the activity, you might not want to eat out there because what if you going fishing or horseback riding? I wouldn't suggest snacking on anything there, but still, just having that accessibility and having that stuff there in case you miss snack time or whatever the case may be. Um, what else? It was just so much about camp. The block parties.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Um,
remember one year we had like a carnival,
oh
and
yeah.
I don't. Me and clowns, we not friends. I don't like them. They don't like me. You know. And there was a clown out there. I will never forget this. It was a clown out there with a name tag on, and the name tag said, and the clown comes up to me, and I'm like, get away, like, from me. Why are you talking to me? And he's like, what's your name? I'm like, I don't want to speak. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, Jennifer, like, you're not going to ask me what my name is? I'm like, what's your name? And then, like, I'm like, oh no, I ain't got time for these games. You're going to have to get out of here. But the rest of the carnival was wonderful. That was just pretty traumatizing to me.
I definitely, how could I forget about the carnivals? Like, were always so epic. Aside from the clowns, they would have Harry the Hawk come sometimes. They would have these big inflatable activities. I have pictures with me and Sia, or me and someone else. There was like a basketball goal at the end, and we were tied up with a bungee cord.
I
So
remember that kind of like low key.
yeah, so it was. Of course, it makes it harder for you to get the ball in the goal when you got a bungee cord on. But it was so much fun, and they just had so many different activities during the carnival. That was the first night, like the welcome party.
Yeah.
Let's turn up. This is about to be camp. Our friends are here, and let's just have a good time. So those were definitely lit. Camp used to be lit. Camp is still lit today. It's a
Yeah.
different kind of lit.
I always
It's a
also appreciated the fact of, the infirmary.
yeah,
And I'd be remiss if I didn't, thank those people who volunteer their time to make sure that everybody is healthy and getting their meds and taken care of on that end, because that's a huge job. And, they're volunteering their time just as well as we are as counselors. Um, and they like really legitimately take care of everybody, you know,
right.
and it just takes somebody with a big heart to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I did want to shout out um Ayana and Kim and Nick and Miss Mason Mitchell and so many of the nurses and doctors. Um, like you said, they took care of the girl last year, because I was done for by day 4. Kim came in and swooped in and gave me that good IV, and I was good to go. So shouts out to Kim. But they they are life saving,
Honestly,
because I was struggling last year. But yeah, it's they've always been on point, even through the madness of making sure each child get all their medications. Keep in mind that we have children on multiple medications,
multiple times
several
a day.
several times a day, either before or after they eat. Like, it's a very complicated medication system for all of these kids. So we appreciate them so much.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, I don't think camp could run if we didn't, it
Right.
couldn't exist in the way that it does, and the kids couldn't push themselves and get out of their comfort zones, and everything that the camp exists to do
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to be done without the med team, like at
Right. Right. That is so true. I know some of the parents come back upset because the kids are come back sick, but like us, they want to go back next year too.
all.
It's okay, mom. I'll be okay. So when does next year start?
And I think like the parents have to learn to kind of let go a little bit. And, like what I would tell my mom, even I tell my mom now as a grown person, it doesn't matter what I do, I could still be sick. Like,
Mhm.
like just last week or whenever I was in the hospital, like I went to bed fine and I woke up and I was not fine and I didn't do anything but go to sleep. So I'm going to live my life and I'm going to have all the experiences that I want to have in my life, and I'm going to do everything big. Go big or go home pretty much. That's like my motto, because it doesn't matter what I do. sickle cell is still going to be here in my body, and it's I could either not do anything and still get sick or live a fulfilling life, because we're not put on this earth to merely exist. We're here to live, and that's what I'm going to do.
And camp definitely gave us that opportunity. So maybe that's why we like to go ziplining in the Costa Rica.
Upside down.
Right. Maybe that's where we got it from. I don't know.
Man.
Because yeah, we definitely have our good and our bad days. And as you've seen on our previous episodes, how even in the hospital, or even when we're not feeling well, or even when we have things that are going on outside of this, we're still here. We're still pushing ourselves, and we show up and show out when we come.
And I think part of that lesson I did learn at camp. I learned how to push myself, and that's something that really can't be taught. Like, your parent can't really teach you that. You just have to learn to step out there and see what the ramifications or the consequences are of you doing that, of stepping out. Like, okay, I stepped out and I pushed myself, nothing bad happened.
Right.
Or I stepped out and I pushed myself and something bad happened, but I got over it.
Right. And then we also learned how to deal with it next time. So, for instance, the first time I was on a plane ride, I got sick. I didn't know that I needed to hydrate more before I fly places. I didn't know that the altitude affects our cells. So, it's not that I stopped flying, because I prefer to fly anywhere. It's just that now I know what to do to minimize my complications. I know to hydrate beforehand. I know to even before camp, I get hydrated, because I know camp is about to be physically strenuous. I make sure I have my medicine, all of them, the pain meds and my everyday meds. I make sure I'm well equipped, because I know how camp is. I know how rigorous it can be. And someone mentioned before, even throughout the year, if you're physically doing certain things to kind of keep yourself up, you may be able to handle camp in a different way. As your body, as you're growing, your body is changing differently anyway. So you're going to have to relearn your body. But camp definitely makes you learn your body,
Yeah.
how to deal with certain stuff.
And then also being around older people, as a child, being around someone who's older with a disease, and having those avenues where you can just ask questions, because all of us are pretty much like, whatever you need to know, whatever you want to ask, feel free to do so. And I think that that is invaluable, because we've been there before, and we've done what these kids are growing up to do, so we can provide a blueprint.
Right. Right.
So, I owe a lot of my, I guess, stick to itiveness to lessons that I've learned at camp, and lessons that I've learned from my parents and just living life. But, I would love if every child growing up could experience something like Camp New Hope, wherever it is that they're growing up, because there are other camps, around the country geared for people living with sickle cell. And, I just think it just offers an invaluable experience and lessons that you just can't get anywhere else.
Agreed. I 100% agree with that. So I hope you guys enjoyed our throwback show, reeling it back to 93 up to now.
Down memory lane.
So you guys should have a good idea of how much we love Camp New Hope, how much Camp New Hope means to us. And we want to thank our sponsors. We have the Apex Museum. Yes, They are still our sponsors. However, they are closed down due to kind of obvious reasons at the moment. But we still want to mention Mr. Dan Moore with the Apex Museum. We also have Kids Stop Daycare and Learning Center, and Miss Tanya Robinson. They opened back up a couple of weeks ago, and things have been going good so far. Let's keep it that way. And we have the Black Professional Network. So we would like to thank all of our sponsors. And we have one last video to show you guys. You might hear a little somebody familiar spitting a little flow. I don't know. But
I wonder who that could be.
I don't know. Yeah.
And if you have a child who has sickle cell, please look up Camp New Hope for the following year at the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia.
Yes.
Walk it, talk it, get it, I am Camp. Rapping for B1, yeah, I'm D-Man. Swimming, fishing, balling with my fam. Sit I at this camp until the dance.
Real big plans, this Camp New Hope. Swagging off and dance, he got me in the trance. Been a long week, we get lit, no heat. Gonna hit the cafe, give me something to eat.
Elijah on the track, walking, talking fact. Darren on the track, we gon' run it back. When I'm playing football, I'm the running back. For a year at camp, we keep coming back.
Nia from R2, you know how we do. 11 red rebels and we coming through. Ladies of New Hope, yeah, we keep it true. Chillin' on the lake, splashing in canoes.
A is Justin Tommy on the track. We only mess with red, all y'all other colors whack. Y'all claim it, we annoying, but we're lit, that's where we at. R2 whole squad, yeah, we coming back.
Row and row here in this piece. It's too hot, no need for fleece.
McKenna here, I keep it neat. Hair is laid, edges fleet.
Yeah, we fighting sickle cell. Look so good, can't even tell. It's the struggle, but still feeling well. 1 week a year at camp is how I excel.
Mia in creative art. Painting pics and making parts. Jen and me, we topping charts. We gliding through and breaking hearts.
Hey, it's your boy Smite.
Yeah.
This my first year at camp, right?
Enjoy myself.
And I'm coming back next year.
You know that.
Representing for the B4. Throw your foes up in the air. We don't care, we just win. We don't lose, we go in to the end. Yeah, this is Camp New Hope, bringing the world new hope. This is Camp New Hope, bringing the world new hope. Yeah, we know how to get it. We gon' go and get it. Shout out Miss Numa. Shout out Kareem just for bringing me here. Shout out Big David just for bringing me here. All the camp counselors, yeah, they real big deals. Friends for life. You know how we get to it. We gon' fight for life. This is how we keep going. How we keep flowing. Shout out that boy Mike just for bringing the studio up in the building.
I see ya.
Yeah.
We doing it. We moving. Let's elevate. This is Camp New Hope, bringing the world new hope. This is Camp New Hope, bringing the world new hope. Camp New Hope, bringing the world new hope.
That was fun.
Yep, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Are they still there?